Yo, what is up guys, Eslis Gaming back with another video, and today is time for another expeditions video, and we are going to do the Minotoror dungeon. Now, as it is might not be usual, because as you can see here in the background, you see me actually do the first room of the dungeon, instead of just starting the video in the final boss room. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of mechanics that I need to explain in this video. And I wanted to keep the video ×2 speed, so I was like, you know what, let's include the first fight, especially because this is when I figured out that this dungeon might be a little bit more tricky than the previous dungeons that we've had for the expeditions. Before I go over the mechanics, I want to tell you guys that you don't need to do the maze for the Minotoror dungeon. You can just grab a key. Again, the bunch of keys does not work, but you just need to grab a key, go to the dungeon, talk to the NPC, choose the expedition option, and you will be teleported straight through the fight, pretty much. So again, you don't have to do the maze. Yeah, we are going to start off with some of the mechanics. First of all, the boss. Let's go over the boss first. 11,000 HP, and when you're doing 8 loot, it has 16,000 HP. It has 100% resistance every single element and 9,999 pushback resistance. So the only way to kill it is by reducing its resistances, which I will explain. Now, to remove its resistances, you must hit the boss in a line, linearly. When you hit it, the boss will get pulled towards you. It will pushes you back 2 squares and will deal 900 neutral damage. The boss will lose 10% resistance, but also gain 10% final damage for 2 turns. Now keep in mind, the boss also has a debuff, which reduces your pushback resistances by 100. Which means that if you get pushed back into another ally or a wall, you get even extra damage on top of the already 900 neutral damage.
Now that's a lot of damage.
Now the effect can only happen 10 times per turn, but it will last for 2 turns. So technically you could stack minus 100% resistance. But you'll see later on in this file, I think I managed to get him to like what, minus 20% or something like that, and then he was already dead. So it's not too bad. But you do have to watch out for a lot of damage. Here in the background you can see that my Hyper Mage died because the enemies, they just deal a lot of damage. We'll go over the enemies in a second, but some of them have reflect damage, some of them reduce range, and yeah, you need to be careful of that one. Yeah, so another thing about the boss, it is advised to kill all of the enemies first. The boss, also the enemies, by the way, the Minotaur, the Mino Ball and Minotor have quite a lot of HP, also 11k. So which is like, it's basically you have 3 bosses in this fight. The Mino Ball is probably the strongest because he can teleport up to 10 range and put like a negative 15% resistance penalty, which will last for 2 turns, and it's stackable. Minotoror can also buff himself and his allies for 300 power, 2000 vitality for 2 turns in an AoE of 2 cells around him. So that means that you need to corner him or something like that, because otherwise his allies will be insanely strong. However, this buff is debuffable. So if you have unbewitchment spells on, for example, the Enotroph, any Ripsa or anything, use that to your advantage. So yeah, once you kill all the enemies, you can just start by hitting the boss linearly. I found out in the final fight, which I will show you guys later again, that if you just hit the boss with push spells, because it will get pulled towards you, you will push it back again. which will make it a lot easier. But I will show you guys in my boss fight. In the meantime, let's go over some of the monsters, starting with the Demino Ball. Between 11k and 12k HP, high overall resistances, low in fire and water. Does it can teleport up to 10 range, removes resistance, deals big air damage as well. Only once per turn though. There's also some medium range spell that deal air damage and fire damage and erosion, and the fire damage spell he can also teleport symmetrically, but mainly if you put a gravity state on him, he becomes really useless because his main spells are melee and like medium range. So if you keep him at bay, it's not big of a deal. The Minotoror between 11k and 12k HP, overall high resistance, low in air res. Deals 450 air damage on 4 range in a cross of 1 cell. 300 air damage and pulls the target 4 cells. Launchable at 5 range once per turn. And the other spell is 450 fire damage, steals 2 MP, 3 if he crits, up to 3 range without line of sight. Now the I don't know what this is, the name of this guy is. The guy with the green horns, 6k HP, negative RS. This one is probably the least of your worry in this fight. I would just, like, he does some damage, but he's fine. Just kill him. Not too big of a deal. Then this one, the Scaratos, between 5.5 and 6k health. 15% water and RS is the weakest. The most important thing you guys need to know about this one is this one has a damage reflect spell on him for 2 turns. So ideally, as you can see here, what I'm gonna do as well in this fight, focus on the guys with the green horns. If you're doing 8 loot, there's 3 of them in the fight. Keep the Scaratosses for last, or at least for turn 3 or turn 4. In the meantime, start focusing on the Demino Ball and Minotoror, because you don't want to take the unnecessary damage reflect from this guy. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the monsters. Alright, now some general advice for how you can go through this fight. I would assume that if you're doing 4 loot, there is going to be only 1 side monster in there. So it's either probably going to be the guy with the green horns or the Scaratos. Like I said, the Scaratos, wait with that one until turn 3. Or if you can, unbwitch the damage reflect. So if you are planning on doing 6 to 8 loot, my suggestion is to kill the guys with the green horns first, because those are probably the easiest ones to kill. Try to do as much AoE damage as possible. Avoid hitting the Scaratos. Now, when it comes to the Minotoror, that one just reduces range, so he doesn't put the pull spell on you, or just tank him with the panda or something like that. The Demino Ball put a gravity state on him on turn 1, so to avoid him jumping towards your team. And if he doesn't die by turn 2, try to put another gravity state on him, otherwise he will jump towards your team, or just block him with the panda. I know the panda can also put a gravity state, and if you play panda and cry, you should be fine. Now, before you start filling the boss, make sure that if you're hitting linearly, that you don't get pushed into something. Like, don't get pushed into a wall, don't get pushed into another ally, because the damage will stack up pretty quickly. And I highly suggest, as you can see here, what I'm doing in the video is hit the boss with push spells. For example, bullying on the Heliotrope, like Burning Arrow from Kral, spells like that. Because ideally spells that push multiple cells as well, like Retreat Arrow. Because when you hit the boss linearly, it will pull himself into close combat with you, right? So if you leave it there and you're gonna hit it again, you will take a lot of extra damage. So ideally, you want to hit him with a push spell. He will get pulled towards you and then pushed back immediately while still losing the resistance. It's a little bit like filming King Dazak in his dungeon, where you want to do like push and pulling. So keep that in mind to avoid big damage. Now, the effects stack up to 20 times because it's 10 times per turn, lasts for 2 turns, so technically you can get him up to minus 100% resistances. But in this fight, I think I was like at minus 20%, and then by the time he was already dead, it took me like 1.5 turns to kill him. It was not so bad. The main thing that's gonna make this fight a lot harder is the side mobs if they get in your face. As you saw in me doing the first room, where the map is a lot closer. The Hub Mage died, the Enripsa almost died, the Iliotrope almost died. But in the boss room, the map is a little bit bigger, so it might be easier. If you're planning to do this with a close combat team, be careful, guys. Take a Tekka with your mask, or at least an Enripsa for some heals, because you're going to be taking so much damage during this fight if you're playing in close combat. I highly suggest to play range. Keep the boss away until like turn 3 when you're gonna film him, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys got any questions regarding this video, let me know in the comments below. And the next expeditions video is gonna be on Friday or Saturday when they're gonna release new ones. I wanna ask you guys, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, like the video, because we are close to reaching 3,000 subscribers and doing a big giveaway when we get to that point. So thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.